Guys, talk about aviation podcasts, technology podcasts. Everyone's changing everything.
Well, you're the non-aviator in the group, and you're the one keeping it very aviation focused.
Well, you two are the aviators. You're trying to take this thing completely off track into technology. So, as the business guy at the same time, I figured out a way to merge the two, just so that you're fully aware. And JetBlue in the States, they're the perfect example of what they're doing.
Well, what's happening there?
So they obviously what I think the 5th largest airline in the States. They're massive. They've just ordered another 70 220s. So
Gee whiz.
They're going big. But diversification has become such a big thing, and technology nowadays is just, it's going through the roof. So these guys are now buying into other businesses, completely not aviation related. So they've got Shape Security they bought. This company, apparently they go in, they make sure all the systems are secure, make sure that there's no losses, make sure everything is working from that perspective. You think, oh, okay, security company, I don't get that. But then there's also Climacell that they've bought into. Now this is a weather forecasting company, and in the time that they've bought it, this company is able to forecast up to 3 hours ahead of any other forecaster in the world. I don't know what the hell they're doing. But in over 8 flights into Boston, they've saved $100,000 because they were able to forecast the weather. They could get the planes in, rerouted them, whatever it was. So it's just unbelievable how the technology is changing. Another one they bought is Flyer. And these guys they're predicting fares live. So they obviously looking at data. They're picking data up from all the passengers online, because I think obviously we know that if I go onto FlySafair, effectively they know my IP address, they know my buying style, they know when I generally have flown in the past, they know what I like, what I don't like. So this other company is taking all that technology and that data, and they're pushing it to when someone individually buys, they know this person doesn't particularly like spending above $500 or whatever it is. So they're adjusting the prices on the fly. It's brilliant. Technology's changing everything.
Technology is, I mean, think about running a business these days and your competitors using technology and you not. You might as well just pack up shop now and
you're dead in the water.
It. But you started off that with the Airbus 220. How popular is that aircraft?
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's amazing.
Just taking off so well. Hey?
It's
glad it's taking off.
Yeah, particularly in the States.
You should be.
Yeah. That deserves it.
But worldwide as well. I mean, Green Air out of Nigeria now, they've also just signed for 50
really?
A220s. They were going for Maxes. They just before the world went mad last year.
Yeah.
They had signed for I think it was 50 Maxes, and they've changed it now to the 220s.
Good choice.
That's cool, man.
And that's a recent one. So even with Max being approved around the world, guys are still saying, let's stick with Airbus.
Does that mean we're going to get an A220 sim anytime soon?
Look, even one airline with 50, that sim will fly full stop.
Yeah.
I'll never have an open slot on that thing.
No. What's it? 44 aircraft saturate. 40 aircraft saturator simulator.
Yeah.
We started off with America today, or the States, and obviously with the pandemic, the whole airline industry worldwide has had a total reshape. I mean, airline, you look at Lufthansa, we spoke about them last week. They're a much smaller airline than they used to be by a considerable margin, and they will be for quite a while to come into the future. So quite a nice article. It was in Simple Flying, the info courtesy of planespotters.net, and I'll leave a link there. Basically, it just goes into top 10 airlines in the world in terms of aircraft size. So guys, who do you think, or which country do you think dominates this list like you can't believe? I mean, just listen to this. All right, American is first, American Airlines. They are, when it comes to most planes, they've got 891 aircraft, 112 of those are wide bodies, and 779 of them are narrow bodies. Close behind them is United. They operate 828 aircraft, and the big thing with United, they expanded their aircraft fleet in 2020. And they got bigger in 2020, not smaller. They got bigger.
So while you're at United, United is now doing these air taxis. They have just ordered 200 helicopter aeroplanes to shuttle people around.
People to and from,
yeah. Electric helicopter planes, 200 of them, as if their fleet is.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. In third is Delta. Now, Delta's always been known for having the most diverse fleet. They've got Airbuses, they've got Boeings, and it's a whole mishmash. But they got 768 aircraft. And then rounding off the big four in the US is the biggest low-cost airline, that's Southwest. So, I mean, that's narrow body, 737s. And then the first non-US giant in that list is China Southern. They got 620 aircraft. So it's quite a big drop off in terms of aircraft size to China Southern. And then after that, China Eastern. And then seventh on the list is SkyWest. You know that?
Wow.
SkyWest, they operate, what they do, Brett, they operate regional routes on behalf of Delta, American, and United.
Oh.
So they don't operate as a specific airline. They operate, they fly regional stuff for those three big carriers, mainly with Bombardiers and Embraers. So quite an interesting one. I mean, they're massive. And then is the only non-American or Chinese airline on the list is Ryanair. So they way down there, 452 aircraft. I didn't actually realize Ryanair operate 29 Airbus 320s as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's actually they operated by or flown by Lauda Europe, but they under the Ryanair banner. I thought it was all 73s.
Yeah, I was under the impression they were just
but they
straight Boeings.
They took over Lauda.
Yeah, they took over there. So yeah,
I'm surprised with those numbers. Where's the DHLs, UPSs?
Okay.
Are they on that list?
Well, there's only one. I mean, the only cargo airline to crack that list is FedEx.
I thought as much.
Memphis-based cargo giant operates a fleet of 458 aircraft.
Have you ever seen that flight radar picture when you open it up on the US? How many FedEx and UPS airplanes are flying around? It's incredible.
Well, that's why I wanted to know. Surely there must be a cargo,
But they're only ninth on that list. I mean, look, they've got 284 wide bodies, 129 narrow bodies, and 45 turboprops, whatever they are.
Turbo?
Boats, I think they're boats. The airline follows a hub-based model with one super hub in Memphis and several small hubs around the world.
Yeah.
So quite cool. And then last on the list, the flag carrier of China, Air China, 440 aircraft. So quite amazing. I mean, think about how massive aviation is in America. I mean, American, United, and Delta, top three positions by a country mile.
Yeah, but that's surprising because for me, I would have thought China would have taken everything. It'll be interesting to
look. They're catching up.
They're catching up.
Yeah.
I think if we look at a forecast going forward in the next 5 to 10 years, I think that's going to change radically. You're going to have China up there, and then you're going to have like an Amazon up there. Who's probably going to just take over completely.
What's that airline called? It's he's buying a whole lot of 767s now. Prime Air, I think.
That's right.
I don't know if they're dropping the Prime name because of the confusion with the television side of things.
But isn't it Amazon Prime?
Yeah, but it's Amazon, but they also being very careful in how they get into this business. They're operating, there's some 737-800s they've got that have been converted into freighters, some 767s. So they haven't just gone in and started the world's biggest cargo operation. They're doing it very slowly and cautiously, which, that's, I wouldn't expect.
Before you know it, they're going to go and buy a FedEx. They're going to go and buy a DHL. That's what's going to push them up.
Well, the whole e-commerce side is... Look, the e-commerce side was, in a way, keeping the passenger aircraft operating during the whole pandemic phase because, all that belly space available in the cargo. So we spoke about that quite a lot last year.
Who's taken over from Bezos now that he stepped down?
I don't know, actually. Last night, I was doing a bit of YouTubing, looking at motivational stuff. I sent Ryan a few things.
Yeah, it was quite a cool video you sent me. Of Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
You must check it out. It's a powerful video.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to be motivated, you don't have to spend long on YouTube to pick up something.
Well, it depends on what you choose to look at.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cock out.
You must just get rid of those swimsuit editions that you're showing.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that? There's a sound that people are playing pranks on people, like girlfriends to boyfriends, playing a sound. And I'm sitting listening to it, like, what the hell? And all these guys are reacting to this music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? What is it? And eventually they reveal that it's actually a Pornhub sound. And every time the girlfriend plays it or the wife, the husband looks like, what the hell are you looking?
It's like he's familiar with that tune.
It's like, how do you know that tune, dude? Guys are getting caught left, right, and center.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, but look, talking of YouTube, so we were talking about Bezos there. There's so much. Some of his speeches that he's given on there are actually fantastic as well. You don't have to use your imagination too much to see how he built such a remarkable... The biggest advice that I picked up from him, actually, whatever your passion is, it's such a blessing to be given a passion, because then it makes your life so much easier, because now you can follow that passion and that will lead to whatever. Easier said than done, but how many people don't end up doing that?
Exactly.
So yeah, it was quite cool actually looking at that.
For me, on YouTube, there's only 2 channels that are going to give you everything in life if you subscribe to them.
Bryan Podcast,
Podcast and TED Talks.
Yeah,
That goes without
Those
saying.
2 for me are just
but you see,
non-negotiables.
TED Talks are taking a bit of heat as well.
But they should have taken heat a long time
because
ago.
they're very formatted and formalized. So you get, a lot of these guys, the Modern Wisdom podcast, Chris Williamson, he's been invited on there, and you can tell in his, he's been preparing for this for a while, because it's basically you memorize this thing and then you say it exactly as it is. But you can't just you can't do what we're doing now and kind of just
it's not
just
as
have a bit of a banter.
sort of relaxed. Yeah.
No, it's not. But
the content is still good, though. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, no,
whether it's
content's
rehearsed,
superb.
where if someone's not allowed to wing it, and we understand that's what their format is. We could have chosen that as well. We could have been sitting with teleprompters reading the Bryan podcast. We chose otherwise. They've chose that, and it's worked for them.
There's a
There's
TED
no
talk.
doubt.
There's a TED talk I sent to you guys a while ago with Ethan Hawke,
That
talking
was cool.
about creativity.
Yeah.
That
Very
is
good.
the best 8 minutes or so of a monologue speech you will ever hear.
Yeah, and when you watch it 2-3 times, you pick up so much more from that guy. It
Yeah.
was brilliant.
But
They're
talking
really
about
good.
that one that you sent me with Robert Kiyosaki, I mean, I enjoyed how straight into that point that he actually is. He's actually quite a cool dude. I've only ever read his books, and when you read his books, sort of don't quite figure out who he is. Watch that video and see who he is in person. And I got a renewed respect for him. It's actually
The video
quite a
adds
cool
a
dude.
whole other element. Yeah, no, he's very good on YouTube, I must say.
Yeah.
Talking of aviation,
Welcome to the Bryan Air podcast on aviation.
Emirates have suspended flights till the 20th of March, where it will likely be reviewed again and probably extended again. So from what I understand, from the 11th, they can fly inbound, but no
passengers
outgoing.
outbound. Mm.
So what's that all about?
I just don't understand. The whole world has got this. They're freaked out about this South African variant.
Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Imagine
don't know.
that.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
But I hope that changes because it's like my brother-in-law. He does work in Dubai. He can't get back.
Is he still there?
No, he's here.
But he can't get back to work in Dubai.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So he could come home but not go back for work.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you know what that's doing to livelihoods around the world? I mean, a lot of guys that work overseas now can't get there to work, and it's not their fault. Employers are faxing them because, that's just ridiculous, man. I'm over it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I also did my usual thing yesterday. There's a long weekend coming up, so when's it? Not
20th to 22nd of March.
Yeah, not this
it's
coming
spread
weekend.
Next
The
weekend.
next weekend.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I bought my mom a ticket to see me here. And I just thought, let me have a look the other way around. So Joburg to Cape Town back to Joburg on the Monday.
Mm.
Just ticket prices, just out of interest. 10 o'clock-ish flight on Lyft. 2,600 Rand going and 2,400 coming back. Safair, pretty similar, 2,700 going, 2,500 coming back. Airlink was more expensive, 3,100 both ways. However, most of the tickets there were sold out. This was actually for a later flight because it was indicating all sold out. And Kalula, just straight, not using Discovery's sort of discounts that you get, 2,500 going and 3,800 coming back. So they Lyft and Safair very comparable, and then Link and Kalula sort of
Slightly out there.
slightly up. Airlink being the most expensive, but then they're not a low-cost carrier, so it's the only non-low cost. Not looking at Mango because they're still tied to the whole SAA story, so I wouldn't consider a ticket on them anyway, to be honest.
So
Right
just
now.
explain, in the current environment, like an Airlink, which is not a low cost, to a Kalula, which is a low cost. You're getting a seat on a plane currently. Hopefully it's on time and arrives on time. And you're getting what else? Nothing.
Yeah, look, the whole, the low-cost model has, proved itself over the years. There's no question.
But now.
So what are you saying? There's no benefit to
there's no
buying a
benefit.
ticket on a low-cost airline versus a not low-cost airline?
Well, a not low-cost airline. What's
Yeah.
the point in buying on Airlink if it's considerably more expensive?
Mm.
Low cost, effectively, you got to buy your food, all of that. You're not getting
Can
food.
you even, what's the story with the
I
food?
don't think you can get food now.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to bring out here, because the aviation industry is still in level 3 lockdown, effectively. The rest of the country is level 1. We can go eat food. You can sit in a restaurant, sit right next to someone. Nobody bats an eyelid. You can spend an hour there laughing, drinking, doing whatever. But you jump on an aeroplane and you are allowed water. That is it. Water is it. You're not allowed another thing. So your airline aviation still in level 3. So Fikile Mbalula, did he forget about the aviation industry?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Someone forgot.
The whole
about that.
food thing is I can't work it out.
The whole food thing is, do you think if there's going to be a spread, do you think it's not going to spread because I'm taking my mask off and drinking water? Or is it only because I'm eating that? I mean,
it's like all these other rules have been put into place. There's not a lot of logical thought that's gone into it. It makes sense if you write it down on a piece of paper, but there's no logic in it.
but when is the brain going to say this is impacting South African citizens?
No, it's crazy. And the airline.
When is it
itself.
going to hit?
Because, I mean, it's funny how they've changed tactics now, because they were all, last year, this time, all the rave was about the HEPA filters. Fikile did his homework on that. Now all of a sudden you can't eat in an airplane. And I mean, it's actually not like Airlink don't want to provide that service. They
No,
can't.
They can't.
So it's
exactly.
actually hindering what service they would provide. which is
So
quite
that's what my thing is. It's they being impacted by a archaic government ruling,
Yeah.
which level 3 is archaic already, although they're talking about the third strain, so maybe we go back to level 3, who the hell knows. But I mean, it's hindering Airlink that is wanting to offer all of that stuff, part of your ticket, and they just can't.
To answer the question as well about, why would you travel on Link? I think Airlink has got a very strong support base that's been with them for a long time. Bearing in mind they fly to so many destinations.
Yeah.
You decide that you're going to go fly into the Lowveld and you fly on Airlink. Chances are you have a good flight. So you're inclined to think, well, hey, why not use them to go to Durban, and why not use them to go to Cape Town as well? I mean, look, I understand it's a bit more, but on this flight, and like I said, they were on this day, which was, I think I chose the Friday, they were about, 600 Rand, 500 Rand more. But if that is your brand, then you fly with Airlink. They fly to so many places, and I think it's just easy. Put me on Link, please. And then the same goes for Safair. Safair's got this incredibly strong support base. I'm one of them. I've used them before. They've never been late, so I'm always inclined to say I'm just going to buy a ticket on Safair.
Stick with what works. You probably find most people have their preference. If they're going to fly domestically, will stick with like a Safair or Comair, and then when they're going to travel regionally, Airlink's your choice.
The only choice
right now, but I mean, at least a very reliable one at that. So
any connecting flight that you're going off into regional Africa is going to be on Link, and then let's not forget all those agreements those interlines that they've got with lots of other companies.
Goes a long way.
It goes a hell of a long way.
They're not one of the top 2 airlines in this continent for no reason.
Yeah.
They've done it right. They know what they're doing, but just currently, it's if you're going to offer me to Airlink or Safair to Cape Town, I know I'm going to take a Safair. Airlink obviously is key, and then when things are back to normal and I say, I'm tired of low cost, I want to go and fly in a proper airline, not a proper airline, but one that has everything there for you, then you'll use an Airlink. There's no doubt about it.
Airlink has got its place in this country right now, because I still think we can basically regard them as the flag carrier, because they're the ones that can connect us outbound right now. Who else is going to do it? But you talk about another fantastic article in Simple Flying about the big airlines in Africa. I spoke about the big airlines in the States, but it focused on Ethiopian, Kenyan, and SAA. And we can forget quite quickly how big SAA was and how powerful SAA was, because we see it as it is now, which is in a real state, but it was massive. The data for the year to May 2019, Ethiopian Airlines, 13.3 million passengers, top operator in Africa. South African Airways, 4.6 million passengers, in 7th place. But let's go back to 2010. There was a very different picture. South African Airways was flying 8 million passengers, and Ethiopian, just 3 million. That was 2010.
But 2010 was the World Cup.
Yeah, but still.
Different story.
But still, that wasn't just, I mean, look, I know lots of people came in, but there was data up to 2010, eh?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the World Cup is going to be, maybe let's say it adds 1 million on there. It's going to be negligible. But let's look here. South African Airways was one of the first carriers in Africa, founded in 1934. Egypt Air actually claims that they beat it. They say they're older. They say founded in 1932, similar to when they found the pyramids. But the origins of South African actually go back 5 years earlier with Union Airways. Started off as Union Airways, and then they started big growth spurts after the Second World War with the fleets of Lockheed Lodestars. And that was for their domestic routes. And then they started adding flights to Europe in 1944. The first was a 3-day route from Joburg to Bournemouth with an Avro York. That was known as the Springbok service. So it dates right back to then. Then DC-4s, de Havilland Comets, and then Boeing 707s in 1960. Services to Sydney and New York were added in the 1960s, and then started getting 747s. And that opened up a whole lot of new routes. Obviously, problems began in the 80s, international opposition to apartheid, and then many flights were, of course, stopped. But it started growing again in the 1990s when the 747-400s came into effect. And it's quite a nice thing to actually read this thing. But the article, for me, takes a bit of a nosedive when they start talking about the decline, because they haven't turned a profit since 2011, entered administration, as we know, in 2019. But the reasons here given as the decline were local competition had become an increasing problem since deregulation in 1990s, with airlines such as Comair and FlySafair snagging chunks of the airline's traffic. Other African airlines also moved in to operate more connecting flights, like Ethiopian and Kenyan, and a weakening currency, international political and corruption issues. The airline suffered with a growing debt burden, and it was stuck with A340 aircrafts when flying 4 engines at the time of rising fuel prices and all the rest. So those are the reasons given. Those aren't... All right, so there's no real mention there of Coleman Andrews and his whole Swissair debacle, because that was a factor. Delinquent Mjeni's not even mentioned in that. Bearing in mind, she started there 2009 and was made chairman of the board 2012.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Yeah, and now to Ethiopian, right? Okay, Airlines started service in 1945, right? So similar whole thing here. But the expansion, it's just gone ballistic. Growing hub in Addis Ababa also has expanded through investment in other airlines. In 2013, it took a 49% stake in Malawi Airlines, ASKY Airlines, Ethiopian, Mozambique Airlines, and Zambia Airways. And now the possible South African Airways as well. Who knows, that joint venture. 2001, it sits in a very strong position. It's the largest carrier, but it also has survived the slowdown better than its competitors. It started in a stronger financial position, and it hasn't sought a bailout. They haven't been bailed out. They didn't need to. And they've proved agile and able to adapt. They're obviously coming out this thing with the African market share in their hands. So let's, best case scenario, South African Airways starts again and starts properly, well managed and everything. It'll be a bit of an uphill battle to get that market share back. However, I was watching last night as well. You know that fantastic show about what was called Chasing the Sun?
Yeah, I watched it the other night again.
The South African rugby team, the Springboks, had no right to win the 2019 World Cup. They were nowhere.
Yeah,
they were nowhere. They get a leader, Arasi comes in, and he uses all the best bits of South Africa. Different races, doesn't matter what your skin type is. Everyone is involved, from management all the way down to the players, and they ended up winning that World Cup. So let's not write this whole South African Airways story off. No one wants it because we know it's going to be used for corruption and a whole whack other things. But let's say it isn't. Let's decide they get the right people in, and they have the right aircraft, and they're given the right type of funding. Because you can't fund this thing on a little government guarantee. The government guarantee is worth nothing. You've got to be actually funded. There is a chance that it could work. It's not. You can't write it off. However, we kind of can. We understand the limitations there. But it's sad to think that, like I said, you can compare it to the Springbok rugby team. They had no right to go and win that World Cup, and they won it because they just did everything right. And when you combine all the good things in South Africa, you can end up with an incredible product at the end. So it is possible.
It certainly can work. Ethiopian success is that they are a government-owned airline, but they let the right people run the airline, and it just shows their success. I agree with you, Brian. I think it can work, but it's going to take them a while to actually prove and then regain everyone's trust. It's going to take a long time.
Yeah, look, the trust issues are a major thing.
I
You
think
wonder.
that's half the problem in this country.
Everybody wants a national carrier. We love it, as we've spoken about
Yeah.
it time and time again. Seeing that tail, if you're sitting in Charles de Gaulle, suddenly you see that, you just feel at home. There's
Yeah.
just something about it. So everyone wants it.
Yep.
The skeptics, we're all there.
Yeah,
I think every single one of us.
Talk
I hope you're right.
I hope so.
Talk about all this South African government-owned airline nonsense. India is no different. I mean, Air India, which is their government-owned airline, also about to be privatized this year. They've got something, or had something similar now to what SA Express had, where there's a consortium of employees who put in a bid to buy the airline recently.
What's it called? Fly Air India.
I don't know. But they were also given the bat because it just it was observed that their crowdfunding initiative and foreign investor sort of list just wasn't going to cut the mustard. So yeah, the running now to buy Air India will be between Tata Group and perhaps the CEO of SpiceJet. And yeah,
They were in some hot water, SpiceJet as well.
they've just lost a lawsuit
Excuse the
against.
pun.
Yeah, they've just lost a lawsuit against de Havilland, $43 million.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
And it's not their first time. I think they've done. They just done. You got to put a bit of a deposit down, I assume, to go buy these new
You would
aircraft.
imagine.
yeah.
But
So-
you say that's the same as the South African government. At least the Indian government is prepared to privatize.
Yes, yeah, they're open-minded about it, and
Exactly.
they're looking. Look, I mean, they've also they've got Indigo there, which is the biggest airline in India, and it's taken the lion's share of the market, and they're just dominating.
Yeah.
And
And they're private, eh?
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, similar thing, eh? Yeah, talking of Indigo, they basically hold over half of the Indian domestic market at present. They take the top spot at all of the country's top 20 airports. And this month they have over 343 domestic routes and climbing. So, yeah, it's...
How long will it be before India's on that list with the top 10?
won't be long.
I don't think
Won't
so.
be long.
Yeah. India and China with, 1 billion citizens each?
Mm.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
They should be on the top of
Yeah.
that list. Top 10, Indian
Yeah.
and China.
They're
That's what it is.
going to be. They're
But
going
it comes
to be.
down to affluence as well. That's the
Yeah.
challenge.
Yep.
So out of 1 billion people, you probably 99% of them will never fly. They
Yeah.
just can't afford to.
Yeah.
So the
But
states where you got 400 million or 380 million,
Yeah.
they will all fly.
Yeah. 360 million of them can
Yeah.
fly.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, really not, because they don't have passports.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you'd get caught without a mask or refuse to wear one in an Indian airline, they'll just put you on a no-fly list.
Done.
Permanently.
Straight up. Yeah.
Done.
So
Never
either
to fly
permanently
again.
or for a sufficiently long period. But yeah, they're taking it that seriously. So not just a measly 100,000 rand fine. No-fly list.
I
Straight
don't
up.
think you want to end up in an Indian jail either.
Not a chance.
So I'll wear 3 masks when I go to India.
Hazmat suit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but if you have the jab, can you fly without a mask now?
No. Still
No.
not.
Because the world's demand for flying is increasing at such a rate for one specific group, especially out of the States, that's seniors that have been vaccinated. So now that they've got the jab, every one of them are hitting whatever, Bahamas, Cancun, whatever they need to
So
do.
what you can now...
But do you still have to have a mask?
Well,
I
yeah.
assume so,
because
yeah,
it's all
because-
not only about being protected yourself, it's about protecting others.
Yeah, of
allegedly.
course.
But if you had a
so.
vaccine,
And
you
can you
no
imagine
risk.
the dirty looks you're going to get from the old lady walking down the aisle at Woolworths when you're not wearing your mask properly?
That's
or
a
like
thing,
it's
hey?
just down the...
It happened to me the other day.
Yeah.
Also, I was on my way into the shop, left my mask in the car, but just didn't realize it. The next minute you get all this
Yeah.
stink eye.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
Am I like, oh, mask? Yeah. No,
And then you quickly pull your shirt up. Yeah. I've got a tech tip, guys.
Do it.
I know I'm not supposed to do a tech tip every week,
But there's a lot of tech, so
But there's a lot of tech
push
going
it.
on, yeah. We spoke about, you actually started off there with your IP address and
Yeah.
what that is. Obviously, your computer has an IP address. So when you come to buy plane tickets or any e-commerce thing that you might want, but plane tickets in particular, you would be wrong in thinking that the same prices refer to everyone. Do you know that?
No?
All right. So
How does that work?
basically, if you live in a very affluent area or affluent country with a popular zip code, you might be charged a little bit more for a particular flight. In fact, you might even be charged a little bit more if you're operating a MacBook as opposed to a Windows.
No way.
Serious.
No way.
Yeah. Because your IP address contains all that information.
Seriously?
Yeah. Look, on the Windows, you might have to Control-Alt-Delete 10 times before you get to actually check out. But
Yeah.
still, it's quite a thing. Now, obviously, we're buying a hell of a lot of things on e-commerce these days. It's just so much easier to do it, and it's becoming a lot more normal. You can go walk through Johannesburg Shopping Centre, and the writing's on the wall for the shops and that. I mean, it's a given. So what you can do is you can get yourself a VPN. I've been using one for about a year and a half now. So I use ExpressVPN. It costs about $8 a month or so. But what that does, you can control where your IP address. Well, first of all, it hides your personal IP address.
So just for those that don't understand, IP address is like your digital fingerprint. It's not only on your computer, but it's on your Wi-Fi router. So when your Wi-Fi comes in, your router has an address, and they're able to pick up. You can be on your iPad, you can be on your phone or your computer, whatever it is. They're going to pick up that address. They'll locate your exact location.
Yeah, they know exactly where you are.
So the VPN is your virtual private network, which then takes that digital fingerprint and scrambles it so that they have no idea in the world where you are.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
You can use your VPN to actually go look for better deals. So what you can do, there's an article here where you can take your location. So you turn your location into Norway, as an example. The deal that you get on a particular flight is actually cheaper using your Norway address than it is your local address. So you can still buy it through that. There's nothing stopping you.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and besides that, an even bigger factor, what you can do, we watch Netflix and things like that these days. Well, if you want to, what you can do, make your VPN American, because you choose where you want. America, somewhere in Europe, whatever. South Africa, there's a server here. So you turn your server into one of the American addresses, and now you've got American Netflix. Yeah, because it thinks you're there.
And it's
so
completely different
it's completely
to South
different.
African.
There's more movies, there's more series. Why would you not use it? I mean, you pay, it's a couple of cups of coffee a month, and it protects your data. It's better for searching for good e-commerce deals, and you can watch all the overseas shows. I mean, you turn your Apple TV you put a new DNS proxy in there. Very easy to do, takes 2 minutes. And now your Apple TV thinks it's in America. If you want to watch some anime stuff from Japan, then use a Japanese server.
That's incredible. I'm going to try it.
That's
What
a
do you
must.
cool, man.
When you're booking tickets internationally as well, if you're in an area, say France, and you want to fly to South Africa, you don't book your ticket flying out of Charles de Gaulle, because it's so expensive. What the guys are doing is buying a ticket out of Zurich. Then it's picking up that, yes, you're in France, but you're not flying out of France. You're actually now flying out of Zurich. So your prices are considerably reduced.
That's incredible.
With a VPN, if you were in France and flying out of France, they wouldn't know where you're booking from.
Yeah.
So you'd get the cheaper rate that you would if you're flying out of Zurich.
So, I mean, it probably would even be better for those guys to buy tickets out of South Africa, being not well, Zimbabwe even.
Well, I did
Well,
this.
Unless
If you're flying out of
country and you just-
Zimbabwe, you're booking out of Zimbabwe, then you get a ticket for free.
Yeah.
They'll pay you to fly.
and it does work. I mean, it does work. I tried it last night. You
Wow.
you turn your server into an Indian server, and suddenly the prices are different. I'm telling
Sure.
you.
Because they're in rupees, that's why.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but it's so they say lower income places like Mexico and India, try them out and see if you can get a better deal. You know, privacy is such a huge thing right now. I mean, you got people, that have deleted WhatsApp because they're worried about privacy, but they don't use a VPN.
Yeah.
Everything
like,
is
come on.
exposed. There was that, everyone went crazy about this WhatsApp. Let's move to Telegram, whatever. It's like, we don't need who needs another messaging system? But they've got your information in any case. You
Yeah.
think they don't have it via your bank, via your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile? I mean,
I think
VPN is the only way
It's the only way.
to hide all of that.
There's a few. You can use Surfshark. There's ExpressVPN that I use, and they all got a free trial. So try it out. I know with ExpressVPN, they've got a server in South Africa, so you have to see where the servers are. The more servers that these places have, the more likely it is that your connection is not going to lose any speed or anything, because you don't want everyone running through one central source. It's going to slow everything down.
Yeah.
But there's no effect on the speed. And as I say, I've been using it for a long time. I watch American Netflix at home. You can watch Australian Netflix if you want. I mean, it's
Well,
great. That's cool.
you told me about this, and I went on and I've got ExpressVPN as well, and
Yeah.
I just
and it goes
I
onto
won't use anything else.
onto your phone, onto your computer, everywhere. So it's a must. And like we said, with this whole thing with e-commerce, you want to get the best deal. Only way to get the best deal is to search for these deals anonymously. Because there's another thing. The websites actually start working together, and they start price checking you. So
Yes.
you could be searching for something similar. Let's say you want to buy a headset from overseas. So they'll actually start price checking you, because they know this person just looked on that site, and because they're kind of in cahoots with each other. So I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, but you can bypass all of that by having a VPN. Pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
We've got our second part of our webinar
Howell,
with
yeah.
John.
Next Tuesday, 16th, same time.
So the guys and girls that were on the first one, please register for the second one. We're only letting people on that were on the first one. It's pointless if you missed the first one, because you're not going to have the background knowledge that you need.
Yeah.
So please register for that one as well. And that's this coming Tuesday,
Yeah, Tuesday the 16th.
6:30.
Yep.
All right, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Brett, where can people find us?
Where can't people find us? They
What-
can find us everywhere. Mainly at Samero, Johannesburg,
Yeah, well,
in our
that's our
in
location.
killer studio.
You told everyone our location. Now my Express VPN not going to work so well. We need one thing that can help us a lot is some reviews.
Yeah.
If people can write us reviews, particularly on Apple Podcasts, just shoot us a quick 5 stars if you don't mind.
For those that are on Apple Podcasts, but even just subscribing on YouTube, just as we've had a great spike, which we're so grateful to, for everyone out there who listens to us and looks forward to a Friday, because it's there. As we release it, we see the numbers start going up immediately. Everyone's listening. So I'm so grateful for everyone who just listens to us and follows us.
And as
Really
the
helping
subscribers goes up, it's like a bit of a morale boost and a ego boost to go with it as well.
Like, while we're talking about that, guys, it's we've got to give ourselves a pat on the back for how far we've come in less than a year. The reason I say that is this Sunday, the 14th of March, for me marks 1 year exactly to the date since I last flew an actual aircraft.
Jeez, a year, eh?
Wow.
Yeah, can you believe it? I mean, it's similar timing for you, but
And that's probably a similar timing for a hell of a lot of other
lot of
people.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a year, eh?
And I wouldn't ordinarily think about it too much, but your phone keeps popping up these
Memories.
on your phone. Because funny enough, in the last sort of 3 months of flying, I was taking a lot of photographs of flying. It's kind of like maybe you knew something was coming. But all these photos are coming through, and it kind of makes you a little bit nostalgic. But all that said and done, I just, when all that came crashing down last year, I didn't imagine for 1 second that we'd be sitting here doing this.
Yeah.
And doing as well as we are doing.
Yeah.
I'm chuffed with.
Still having fun.
Yeah, I'm
Every
chuffed with us,
single
and
week.
also I'm glad that there's been a great amount of personal development out of this. So.
No, it has.
Yeah.
But let's give a shout out to all those other pilots as well that have been in the same boat, because it must be pretty much worldwide.
A lot of guys.
A lot of guys probably did their last flight about a year ago.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it will have been the last flight forever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that have jumped back in the flight deck, but a lot of people, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, look, I've still been very fortunate. I've managed to jump in the sim every now and again.
Yeah.
And, just do a little bit. But for a lot of guys, it's,
And let's face it, how much does that help? I mean, because the simulator, when you're flying in that simulator and you're actually flying properly, you're immersed in that whole environment, and it is exactly the same as flying. I mean, we're very lucky from that perspective. But in saying that, there are quite a few jobs that are popping up.
There are. It is definitely starting to gain a bit of momentum.
Some moron posted on LinkedIn the other day.
Did you see that?
He posts this thing to say there's a TRI needed at, I didn't even read the whole thing, but 80 hours a month. I can't even remember what the salary was, and 6 days off non-commuting. So I just read that quickly and thought, do you need a copy of a flight and duty rules type of deal? Yeah. But then I looked a few days later, and this guy's just being hit by saying, who's this Muppet writing this stuff? But he only comments when someone says, yes, I'm interested. Of course, there are going to be guys interested. People take anything right now.
Of course.
But they are, it's bloody not right, It's not...
That advertisement just screamed exploitation.
Oh, big time.
And unfortunately, that is going to happen.
I feel sorry for the guy who posted it, because he's posting it on behalf of a client.
Yeah.
It's not his airline.
It's probably done out of innocence, thinking, shucks, I'm going to help the guys here. But when you look at the nuts and bolts of it, it's bad idea.
Yeah. I would have deleted that faster than Ryan deletes his search history.
With a VPN, you don't need to, right?
My luck, I'd get onto a VPN and it would just expose everything. Those noises you were talking about, I've listened to them all.
Yeah. No, cool. Yeah, as we said, please shoot us a review and subscribe to YouTube. As Brett said, we need it. And I just want to say a special thanks as well. We have a loyal supporter that shoots us a message after every single show. No matter how good the show is or how bad the show is. Last week, none of us were happy with the show when we finished. We thought, we could have done this. We should have said that. The energy was slightly low, and none of us were happy. But still on Sunday morning, I pick up the phone, and there's a very nice message written on YouTube by one of our very loyal supporters. And it makes a huge difference. So Duncan Gillespie, thank you very much for that. It gives us that boost that we sometimes need. We do this thing blind. You shoot it out. You don't know just what was the show like. What are people going to think? Yeah. So when you get that loyal support, and it's not from a direct family member, because obviously my mom messages me every show and says that was brilliant, but your mom is going to say it's brilliant. And but it really does make a difference, and it's given us the sort of the willpower now to actually just keep pushing forward.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
and I love Duncan's Facebook.
Yeah, Fly Africa.
Fly Africa is brilliant.
It's newsworthy and entertaining.
And
because I love his
entertaining
opinions.
because I've just seen some of the comments there, and the pilots out there are jumping onto some of those things.
Yeah. I think it's probably the best source of news that I can find online.
Oh, for sure.
And factual news too, for the most part.
Factual news, it's brilliant. Yeah, Fly Africa.
And as we said, entertaining beyond bucket loads of it.
If you can provide news and entertain at the same time, man, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're pushing time limits, so we're taking up people's time, but it doesn't really matter, because we're also changing things up a bit with not that we're going into a new season, but maybe a a slight little series change because we're gonna try and get some people on the show, actually in the studio on the show initially, and then maybe start trying to invite a few people in remotely through Zoom or whatnot.
Yeah.
So hopefully next week another podcaster in the aviation sphere will be on. And a week after that, some other interesting guests lined up. So
I think it's great just to do something different as well.
Yeah.
yeah, something different.
To it, man.
Sick and tired of looking at the two of you.
Yeah, well, you're gonna be sitting there, and then
It's going to be cozy.
yeah, and
We'll be serving water, masks not required, no chicken or beef.
yep. That's the Bryan Airway.
Search for us on your VPN.
Yeah. But until next week, everyone. Cheers for now.
Have a
Cheers,
good one.
guys.
Cheers, guys.